So today we're going to go through the first steps you should take when you're creating or refining your marketing sales funnel. We'll go over some of the tools that make it easier for you to automate some of the processes and save your time so that you're not turning into a full-time marketer. So you can see here a basic funnel. You've probably seen something like this in marketing. In the top is your exposure. That's how you get your leads. In the center, you have the process for refining those leads. And then, of course, out of the bottom, you have the results. We're going to look at this process in more detail. Near the top, you can see we've got how you generate your leads. We can separate them into two categories. We can go organic leads and paid leads. The step after that is your sales funnel. Inside of your sales funnel, you'll have several other funnels. So you can have one for your website. It's kind of its own funnel. You can even have a direct sales team that works for you. They're their own funnel. You can have things like automated emails. That's its own funnel. So inside of your broad sales funnel, you have a whole bunch of different strategies to take your leads and turn them into actual sales. For example, if you attend a convention or a seminar and you've collected several business cards of leads, you can actually put those leads into a couple of sales funnels. You can put them into an education funnel where they may get monthly newsletters teaching them about your services or answering questions they may have. And you can put them into a manual follow-up program. So a program that sends out emails over a week or sends you reminders to call them. So yeah, you can see that your large funnel has a whole bunch of little funnels. Then of course, at the bottom are your results. And then from the top to the bottom, we want to make sure that we are paying attention to how many leads it takes to get to the actual result. So to go more into detail about what is an organic lead and what is a paid lead, let's focus first on the organic leads. So organic leads, it's more like natural leads, or it's people seeking out your services, whether they know it or not. It is a longer term strategy than the paid leads. It is more about drawing in the users while they're researching what they want to buy or while they're researching a question that they may have. Your resources need to be there when they're looking to help them make their decision or solve their problem. This will get your brand in front of them, not so much as a sales pitch, but it helps build trust with them that you know about your topic and you can answer their questions. The best way to get leads with organic content is to be ranking high in Google search results. About 87% of all search traffic comes through Google, which is why I predominantly talk about Google and Google's tools. They are the #1 across the globe for search traffic. And websites that are on the first page of the search traffic receive 92% of all of that click-through traffic. So if you're ranking on the second page for a search term, you have almost no chance of getting that traffic. In fact, out of the 92% of people that click through in the first top results, 33% of them go to the very first listing on Google. So the higher up you can get in those rankings, the better chance you have of gathering that traffic. So of course, Google is very particular about their rankings, and getting your content to go up there is kind of difficult. So we do something called create 10x content. And that just means that we research the search term that we want to rank for, and we find the content that's already ranking for that term. When we try to create 10x, we read through all of the content and make notes of things they did right and things that they were missing. And then we create our own. We try and make it 10 times better than the content that we were able to find. And after time and after user behavior, that will get us to start ranking for that search term, and we'll start going up higher and higher in the ranks. An organic marketing strategy takes a lot of consistent effort to be successful, but it has the biggest return because it builds upon itself. It is possible to take a website that has had 0 visitors a month, and over 12 months of constantly creating 10x content, you can get it to 100,000 visitors per month. Organic traffic has a better conversion rate. So about 14% of the organic visitors to your website will convert to a sale, whereas paid traffic to your website usually hovers around 1% to 3% for that traffic to convert into their sale. So it is a longer game, but it is of value. So you can create content. For example, I've listed some platforms you can use. The easiest is blog posts, writing articles, podcasts or ebooks. But then there are a little giveaways like templates. If you are a tax preparer and you have forms that you can provide for them, upload them as PDF and blast them out on social media and give them something to walk away with. Okay, so let's look at the other half of lead generation, and that's paid leads. Paid traffic has a much faster turnaround time. Unlike organic that may take a year to see the results, paid traffic, it's usually within a couple of weeks or even days, depending on your budget. With organic marketing, your cost is just the time it takes you to create the content. But with paid advertising, the cost is whatever platform you choose. They may charge you for example, for print, they'd charge you a flat rate for so many advertisements in their magazine. Or billboards, they charge you a monthly flat rate. My favorite among all the paid marketing is digital paid marketing. And it is my favorite because with something like a magazine ad, it's harder to track how many leads you got from that without the only way to track it really is if you use a coupon code. With digital paid advertising, I can literally put tracking code so that I know every single person that clicks my link, that either becomes a customer or does not. The other benefit of digital advertising is something called remarketing. Remarketing is one of the best converting marketing strategies for digital marketing, because if I'm running an ad on Google and somebody clicks my ad and then they visit my website, but they don't convert into a sale and they click away, my website can leave a tracking cookie in their browser. So the next day, if they're looking at another website that's related to mine, my cookie will bring up my ad again in that website. So over time, my ad just keeps showing to the person again and again, reminding them of their initial interest. It has about a 24-25% conversion rate for remarketing strategies. It's a little bit higher because they've already expressed an interest in your product. So it is a better value. That's not something that you're able to do through traditional marketing like print advertising or seminars, trade shows, that sort of thing. A recent marketing survey by Google we don't want you to discount the print advertising, because Google has found that 42% of purchasers or customers have said that traditional advertising, such as mailers or broadcasts, so like commercials, 42% have had a positive influence. So they've made a purchase because of those marketing techniques. So don't completely ignore it. Another note is that paid and organic work together. So if I create a fantastic ebook that I want to give to my users for free, I can pay for Facebook ads to get more attention to that ebook. So they work really well together, and especially because about 88% of all users go online to research more about your company. So if they're visiting your company, say they saw your commercial, then they visit your website. If you have a tracking code, if you have a remarketing campaign going on, you'll be able to put a cookie in their browser and remind them over the next couple of weeks about their visit to your website, and then possibly convert them into a sale. All right, we will move on. If you guys have any questions, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So write them down, and then we'll take care of them at any stage that you had the question. We can talk about it. All right. So let's talk a little more about tracking your leads, because if we are not tracking them, then we don't know what their value is. We don't know if we spent $300 on AdWords, whether or not those turned into any sales. So there are 3 tools I want to talk about specifically, because they're really good for the first stage of your marketing. 2 of them are free, and they're from Google. So if you look at this green line is a user behavior. So I have a question, and I turn to Google to search out my question. The term that I put into Google is called the keyword. It's the search term that I'm using to find my answer. So Google brings up the search results. Here, let me get this pointer. Google brings up search results of what it thinks I'm looking for, and then I decide which one is applicable, and I click on that. Then I'm taken to the website, and I either engage with the website or I go back to the search results and try again. The two free tools that Google gives me is Google Search Console and Google Analytics. Google Search Console will track where I show up in the search result, my website, where my website shows up in search results, what search term it showed up for, and whether or not that user clicked on my website. We can take a look at it in just a second. Google Analytics is the other free tool that picks it up after the click. It'll be able to tell you what pages they looked at on your website and whether or not they took any actions like watching a video or reading a blog post or submitting your contact me form, that sort of thing. Then there is the third tool, which is usually a paid tool. There are some simpler ones like MailChimp, and there are some more expensive ones like Infusionsoft and Salesforce. So a CRM is just a software that manages your leads for you. It tracks the name and the email address of the lead. It also tracks if you've reached out to them. It'll record the emails that you've sent them or the phone calls that you've made to them. It also can record minute details such as what form they filled out. So if they downloaded your ebook, you'd be able to track that information versus if they listened to your podcast, so you know where they came from. Let's look a little more detail into these tools. So let me bring up my Google Search Console. This is for Tenth Muse. Let's see. So it's just a simple sign up for free, and then we place this tag in your website, and then Google will show you all of this valuable information. It'll show you the clicks, how many people clicked on your website in the search results. This impressions are how many screens it actually showed up on. And then it divides the two to give us a click-through rate. For example, out of 41 searches, only 25 clicks were made, and that gives us a 60% click-through rate. And then there's position. This position is where in the search results my website is showing on average. The first page of Google has 1 through 10. The second page has 11 through 20, and on and on. So you can tell when I'm on the first page versus when I am not on the first page, my click-through rate drops to 2.5%. Whereas here, I am in a healthy percentile. So you can go through and see the actual search queries. These are the actual terms that people have used that Google has matched with our website. So if there are any that don't match, I can see that there's a disconnect between my website and what Google is understanding about my website. So we're getting a lot of traffic for business strategies and marketing. And if I wanted to build up our design branch of that, I would create more content focusing on web design. So that's Google Console. Now let's look at Google Analytics. I have a client's Google Analytics, and I have blurred out their private information, but this is their real information. So, let's take a look. Google Analytics teaches us, or it shows us where people are going on our website. For example, in this website's case, their traffic is trending downward. Now, this is a travel website, and it makes sense because we're heading into winter, why their traffic is going down. It shows us things like the most popular time of day. It can show you how many live users are on your website. But I think one of the most useful points of data here are your popular pages. So what pages of your website are the most popular? This is actual traffic. And also what device people are using. You can see that 54% of their users are on a desktop, but close behind is mobile. So you can know where your users are looking at your website. This is helpful for refining your sales funnel. So if you are having clients that get to your website and get onto the wrong pages, or if they're not clicking through to your download page, or if they're missing your calls to action, Google Analytics is really great for helping you see that. We also do some custom reports because it's kind of difficult to get through some of the stuff on Google. So Tenth Muse is able to set up custom interactive reports where we basically strip out all of the technical stuff and let you see what matters to your business. This is an example of, this is all fake data, but you can see that someone may be interested in how many users their website generates, how many sessions, page views, and I think most importantly is bounce rate. If you're not familiar with bounce rate, it is the percentage of people that get to your website and realize it's not what they wanted and then click away. A high bounce rate is anything above 50%. It's normal to have people look on the website for a couple of seconds and then go away. But if you have most of your people clicking off of your website, there's a disconnect between what Google thinks you are and what people are searching for. So it'll be good to know that and figure it out. So we can quickly create any reports for you. If you don't want to mess with Google Analytics and look at all the crazy charts, we can help you out there. All right, and then our last tool is the client management tool. Here is an example of one called Infusionsoft. It's one of my favorites because it has the most options for you. So say you start getting a lot of clients and most of your day ends up being following up with clients and sending emails instead of doing your actual work that you decided to go into business for in the first place. That's where one of these programs is really helpful. It will automate your emails for you. In this example, it's a feedback program. This is just to show you some of the logic that it's capable of. In this example, we have a sequence of emails here that talks to our client after 7 days and asks them for specific feedback for their services. It sends them this email with a field that automatically updates to their first name. Then they click one of these three icons. After they click that icon, our program sends them another set of emails. So if they were happy, they get a thank you and they get a link to review us on Google. If they have a meh face here, they get another set of emails sent to them asking what was wrong. But most importantly, an email gets sent to me to tell me that they had a flatline experience, and to follow up with them in person and see if I can improve it. And then, of course, if they were unhappy with our services, the third logic is triggered, and in 10 minutes, I get a text and an email saying, contact this person directly and see why they're so upset. All of this is automatic for me, so I can just go about my work and wait for these pings to happen. If they're happy, I don't even worry about it because it's completely automated. These tools are really useful for freeing up your time. All right, so let's talk a little more about warming up your leads. So you have the leads. Let's talk about converting those leads into sales, paying customers. You can educate them. So each one of these can be their own mini funnel. And you can see that my leads are kind of circling around in this main funnel. It may take them a long time, a lot of touch points before they'll actually turn into a sale. So that's why it's important to have several funnels or several strategies in place for converting them into a sale. Some of the examples are a newsletter where you're educating them about your services, following up with them personally with emails or phone calls, incentivize such as coupons, which we don't always like, but on top of that, if you have a subscription, offering them monthly payment versus yearly payment. Of course, social media, engaging them on social media a little more personally and getting to know them. Any one of these trial periods, the remarketing like we mentioned. A really effective one is, say you run a day spa and they have a birthday or they have an anniversary. If you're tracking that, they can get an automatic email with a promotion, say a coupon, come in, get your free manicure for your birthday, things like that. All right. Let's see. We're going to go through, because a actual marketing funnel varies with every client, we're going to go through and create an example. Okay, so when we create a marketing strategy, we start from the center and we go out. We go with, why is the customer interested in purchasing your service or product? How will they be pushed, gently educated about your service or project? And what, in the end, will they be buying? So many marketing strategies go wrong because they only focus on the what. If you never talk about why it's important to purchase, then I have no motivation. I don't know why I need your product or service. So let's go through my example. Here's my why. I have a client base of 30-year-old mothers who have a young family, and their why in life is to enjoy the seasons with their family. So I am going to create a marketing campaign that either via email or social media or any tool that I choose to use sends them ideas on how they can enjoy the seasons with their family. That's my how. You can create any of this content yourself, or you can share other people's content. But if you are giving it to them, if you're providing that content to them, you're that point of trust. So if I have a Facebook page and I link to scarf patterns and I link to a recipe for caramel apple cider, and I offer them donuts for a dozen donuts for $5, and I offer them some ideas on kids crafts, then I have created a value for them. I've not only given them ideas and boosted their imagination, but I've helped tell the story on how they're going to enjoy the season with their family. So my product, the pumpkin spice donut, is enhanced by that how and by that why. It becomes connected to that emotion that they want to feel. So take some time for your own product. Start with why somebody wants to purchase or experience your product, and then build what resources you can use to enhance it, and you'll have a much greater chance of getting them to see the value behind your product. Okay, now let's talk really quickly about results. We're almost to the Q&A, and this is where it gets really complicated because you can see I have some math here. But I promise that this is not too complicated, and it is hugely valuable. After we get all of our leads from our sources down through our sales funnels and then out the bottom, we want to make sure that we know their value. Let's say I have a client that brought in $2,000 profit, or not profit, but they paid me in the end $2,000. It cost me about $800 of my time, and it cost me about $800 in marketing. And that is either creating content or paying for ads, etc. So my total cost for that gain was $1,600. When I just plug those numbers into my return on investment formula, I can see that I get 5% of this value. So I have gained 5%. That's great, because consider if I had taken that $800 and made it an organic content, then next month I don't have to pay that $800 again, and I may have 2 clients that I gain from that. Or say I have that $800 and next month I put it into paid ads. Either way, next month I get 2 clients. That changes my return on investment to 24%. That is a huge increase on value without increasing my cost. So when you're creating a marketing budget and a marketing strategy for your company, start playing around with numbers. How much are your leads costing you, and how much are they bringing in? Is there any room that you can spend some money or time on creating content or buying ad space? If you're constantly doing that per month, it will build upon itself until finally you reach a tipping point where you have more leads than you can handle and you have to hire more people, etc., etc. So there are ROI calculators online that you can play with and see what percentage you get for your current customer base and see how much time you need to shave off or add or whatever. So play around with that and see what kind of numbers you get. All right. That leads us to the question and answer section. Go ahead, and if you are on mute and you have any questions, you can unmute or you can put them into the group chat. I will answer them.
Hello, Jen. This is Lucinda.
Oh, hi, Lucinda.
Hi, Jen. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So this is all very interesting, and it's making sense and all. And I wouldn't know really. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing this on my own. So is this something Tenth Muse does? Do you do this for your clients? Do you you develop the strategy and kind of track the analytics and give some direction on which way to go with content?
Yes, we can do everything for you in all of these steps. We could create the tracking for you, add it into your website, create reports for you, and consult you to create your marketing strategy. If it's within your budget, we can even manage your marketing for you. It all depends on how much budget you've got, because we would rather you spend the budget you have on, say, the ads or on the content creation and paying us to manage it for you. But of course, if it's worth the time, if it's worth saving your time, then we do that. We also create content because that's usually where the need is. You may not have the time to research and create blog posts or ebooks. We're able to do that for you, give you at least a first draft, and then you can start from there. It's easier for people to have a draft and then change it to their words than start from nothing.
Right. And so you said depending on your budget, can you give me an idea of a budget, like one if you did everything as opposed to one if you did the things that you're saying are more important? Because I don't have a big budget, so I'm just trying to decide what would be most effective for me.
We can create content. It's usually I don't recall if it is at a lower, what our content writing rate is. About 85. Our content and marketing, all of that is at about 85 an hour. It takes us 4 to 5 hours to create some actual valuable blog content. It only takes us, it's much less expensive for us to manage an AdWords campaign because we touch those about once a week. We want users to interact throughout that week, and then the following Monday we see how it went. So our basic pricing on AdWords starts at $170, and then it depends on your AdWords budget. A good starting budget for AdWords is around $300. I've seen people get 14 leads for $80.
Wow.
So it depends on what your market is and what the keywords are costing. For example, real estate is really competitive. Sometimes you'll be paying $15 per click there. So a budget of $300 would go really fast. So that's why we try and keep our AdWords marketing costs really low, because you're paying the actual ad spend. The content and creating marketing strategies, that's only a couple of hours of researching, and then however long you want to work with us, we charge in 15-minute increments. So it's not like a lawyer where we're going to round up to the next hour. We're going to try and do it as efficiently as we can. Does that answer it? I mean, it really depends too. We want a couple of hours with you, and then how often you want to release content versus how aggressively you want to go after it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you would work with me on developing these strategies, right? Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. That would be about a 4-hour research and meeting about what search terms we're able to find, so how much traffic there is related to your field, and then what blog posts we would recommend. We can find hundreds and hundreds of ideas for content for you and make our recommendations. I believe we can manage social media packages as well, and each one of those depends on how frequently you want to post on social media and what platforms you're on. In that case, we create content for the posts and even content for you to share. like I said earlier, templates and ebooks, we can create those too.
I'm so curious about that, but I'm also aware, other people might be wanting to ask, because I'll just ask my question. How could you possibly create an ebook for me without knowing my field? It just seems like I'm so puzzled by that.
Well, it's basically looking at your competitors. It's identifying your main competitors. And let me bring this back up. So our search analytics, our search console, those keyword lists and everything that I had up. If we are finding a topic that is informational, for example, if we were writing for one of our clients who is a massage therapist, we found that there are people asking about lymphatic massage and whether or not it actually works.
Oh, okay.
So we would research your competitors, see what resources they have. We would also look at other resources for lymphatic massage and then write kind of an outline. It's basically like a college paper. We write an outline about what we've been able to find about lymphatic massage. Then when we give you our draft, that's anywhere between 700 to 1,200 words. We'd give you our draft, and then you can put it in your own perspective.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Now I understand.
Okay. No, that was a great question, because you want to make sure that we are creating valuable content, not just like you went to Fiverr and got someone to put words on the page.
Right. Yeah. And my field is very specific, and there's not a lot of competition actually in my field. Well, there's some. So anyway, but anyway, I want to give other people a chance to ask some questions, and maybe I'll ask you more about that later, Jenn.
Yeah. Well, and we can still you and I can set up an hour consultation. We don't mind doing free consultations for any specific questions and specific cases too.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks, Jenn.
Yeah, that's no problem. Are there any other questions at this time? All right. Well, great. I don't see any other questions, and this webinar is being recorded, and I'll send out a link via email afterward. It'll be on YouTube, so you can go back over any of the points that I talked about. You can also, like I mentioned, you can schedule a meeting with me if you have specific cases or thoughts, or you could just email me at Jenn, Jenn, at Tenth Muse Design, and I'll see what I can find out for you and answer any more questions. Thank you, everyone who showed up. I'm really surprised at how many came, and I'm really excited that you did. So thanks again. Next Tuesday, Sharon is going to talk about social media, and she has had some fantastic success with increasing Facebook likes and getting people to interact with your posts and Facebook ads. So next Tuesday, she'll be walking you through some ideas on that, and get ready for that. So thanks again, and I hope everyone has a really excellent rest of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah.